But people are also incredibly different. There are some folks who will come here, they've been through hard stuff, they recover, and they move on. I mean, it's no big deal. Other people carry things in a very guarded way and don't really want to engage this culture. Because, again, some of what people have seen of this culture is determined by what they saw back in their country. Some of it's just television. So they have, some of the pressures that folks face. They have families who are still back in the camps or back in their home countries. And they come here and get a job, and everyone over there thinks they're on easy street. Like, if you're in the United States, man, there's like gold just like dripping off the trees. And so all you got to do is put your bucket under it and send it home. And so we have families, getting their RG&E cut off because they're sending money home. And we have couples in very difficult fights because, well, one's family needs it. And so, the wife's putting away money each month. The husband doesn't know. And also, another piece of the politics of the United States, women have many more freedoms here than they have in other places and opportunities. So women have a lot more economic power here than they do in other places. They have some options that they may not have. So there are all these pieces to the experience here which are just very different. So there are some similarities, but there are a lot of things that are just really different. And so each person and family kind of responds to this in new ways. But oftentimes, one thing I've found is when you have an experience with somebody who you think has been through something, and your experience with them is something that doesn't seem to make sense or that you don't understand, that might be an indicator that there's a trauma reaction going on. Because it sometimes is very hard to put these pieces together. So, for example, just recently intervening with a young woman who lives out in Henrietta. I think she's Sudanese. Just stopped going to school. Just stopped. Straight A student in October. Stopped going in April. What's up? Like we were just trying to figure out what happened there. The family's very concerned. They've tried everything. The mom talked to her. The dad talked to her. Community elders talked to her. You need to go to school. She says, I'm not going to school. Come to find out some stuff had been happening at school, which she didn't feel free to tell anyone because of the nature of it. And that was a piece of why she was no longer going. But oftentimes there's a little more than the surface. And so our being with them might enable them to feel safe. They may tell us some things about who they are and what they hope for and stuff that actually really helps. Other questions or comments? I mean, some of you may speak from your own experience, or you may know different things than I know, or there's kind of no one way to approach this.
Is there any literature on how to deal with these?
Tons, probably more than you want.
Anything you can recommend?
Yeah, it's a small book. Gosh, I'll see if I can get it to a copy of I don't have the exact title, but How to Heal. I think it's called Healing from Trauma or something like that. It's published by a religious group that's done work all around the world. So
if you can email me the title, I can get it to him.
Yeah, or to the group if people want further reading.
That was great, Mike. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? I know we're probably at time, so.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah.
It's 1:07, just for anyone who doesn't know. But
I don't know if Jim or Pat, if you'd want to say anything about your experiences or working with people who've been through stuff.
We're suffering from a lot of mental health issues right now with children in school because the children have moved on, learned English, become sort of Americanized. They like Facebook, and the parents don't know what to do. I work with a Muslim group of people called Ahiska Turkish people from Russia, and they live in a very strict culture where everything is black and white. Girls are not allowed to have any relationships with boys, period. Period. There's no exceptions. No friendships, no nothing. So as a result, the way that the fathers control these girls is to marry them off when they're 16. Mm-hmm. And we've lost 6 girls. It's every year we're losing girls. As soon as, sometimes they're in 11th grade, sometimes the day after they graduate, and they're all really bright students with sometimes full scholarships. But that's a way to control your daughters, is to marry them off right away. And the whole community supports this, and they're part of the whole community here in Rochester. So, and if we have one girl now that's fighting it, and that's where we're running into mental health issues. So it's very interesting, the struggle with people with these beliefs, and they're not going to change their beliefs, they say.
And they may not need to. I mean, one of the things I would say is one of the most important things about traumatic events in anyone's life is the meaning given to them. So if somehow when events are afforded meaning that actually makes sense for a person, people can heal pretty well. You know, that some people, for example, in religious circles, something bad happens to them, and either a person or a community says, well, somehow maybe God wanted this. Like, whether I think that's a great response or not isn't relevant. Do they think that's a good response? Because some people can say, you know what, I guess God wanted this in my life, then that's how it has to be. And people move on. And so we have to be careful not to want to talk people out of, like, you know, I can't believe how Western I am sometimes when I'm sitting with people, because I hear something, I'm like, how can you people think that way? You know, that's how they've thought for thousands of years. And guess what? They were doing just fine without me, thank you. You know, and my wonderful ideas of, oh, here's liberation for you people. We give them liberation, and they have no idea how to survive in this meaning system, which is why we need to help them preserve their own meaning systems. Because if everybody thinks like the United States, this planet is in serious trouble. As if there's one way of thinking in the United States, you know, really. But anyway, so helping people heal sometimes is getting back into the things they've been. Trauma separates us from what's important, okay? So anytime one of the ways to heal after trauma is to reconnect. It's to reconnect personally, it's to reconnect with our bodies, it's to reconnect with the earth, it's to reconnect with our community and rituals. So any of the stuff we can do to facilitate people's doing that in their lives, it's really important to healing. Do you have anything you want to say on trauma? Or?
Just that, like Mike said, it's different with each individual. I mean, we've seen individuals that we would love to get into some sort of professional health or mental health care system, and they just have no context for it, or in their culture it might be shameful to admit or to accept a diagnosis of you have depression, and once you see a therapist, it's like, not gonna do that. That's for crazy people. So I think what Mike is doing through you alluded to the Langlois work in trying to devise new, innovative, creative approaches to refugee mental health is a great initiative that we have going on in the city. I know CFC is trying to specialize more in refugee mental health in their own clinic. So I think this is something that's talked a lot ad nauseum for years, but I think we're starting to see some results locally. I know nationally there's some great stuff going on in different trauma centers around the country. There is supposedly a center for torture survivors that's going to open up in Buffalo in the coming years. So there's some good stuff out there that's going to be happening in the years to come. But we're still like in a very difficult situation with a lot of our refugees that could use mental health services and just not accessing them. But we can do things as a group, individuals like outlined, just being there for them, talking with them in the right way, in the right context is very important for them. Isolation is bad. Getting out and